this is Steve Robbins. Welcome to the Get It Done Guys, quick and dirty tips to work less and do more. It's delivery day at Green Growing Things plant stores. Plants are coming in fast and furious. Roses, petunias, Audrey 2s, and daffodils. Intern Chris is running around frantically. The roses arrived, but there was no space in the nursery. So Chris moved several pots to make space. But then the petunias needed space, so Chris had to start shuffling roses, and then daffodils, and then Audrey 2s. Everything is chaos. And to make matters worse, there is no plant food in stock for the carnivorous Audrey 2s, so they ended up right by the store's entrance area. Having a hungry Audrey 2 greet your scrumptious customers is not a recipe for long-term business success. Chris needs to find a way to physically untangle all of the steps that need to happen in order to get new plants into the store. Plants get ordered. Space in the showroom gets reserved. Plant food gets ordered. Plants arrive at the loading dock, and then plants get moved into the space that's now in the showroom. In episode 514, Make Your Business Better with the Physical Kanban Method, we learned that the Kanban method from lean manufacturing can be used to track physical objects by putting information about an object on a physical card. But here, what Chris needs is a way to keep track of which step a given plant is in at any given time, all in one place. And for that, we can use a Kanban board. Kanban boards track anything that's going through a process. Grab a whiteboard and erase everything on it, and then draw several vertical lines separating it into columns. Label the columns with the steps that something goes through. So here, Chris uses the labels to order, reserve space, order plant food, awaiting plants, displaying, and ready to sell. These are the steps that every kind of plant has to go through. When the store decides that it's time to order a variety of plant, Chris just writes the name of the plant on a sticky note and puts it in the column that says to order. If it's pansy time, Chris puts a sticky note reading pansies in the to order column. When the order gets placed, Chris moves the note from to order into the reserve space column. And then when the space has been set aside in the showroom, the sticky note is moved to order plant food. And the plant food gets ordered, then it gets moved to awaiting order, and so on. Ultimately, the note ends up in ready to sell, and the pansy processing is done until it's time for the next order. The neat thing about Kanban boards is that the columns tell you instantly what work needs to be done. When you're planning out the showroom, a quick glance at the reserve space column tells you all of the plants that you need to make space for. When placing your monthly orders, the to order column tells you which orders to place. All the information you need is at your fingertips. If you want to be environmentally conscious, instead of using sticky notes, remember, it's a whiteboard, you can just write the word directly on the whiteboard and move it to the next column by erasing it and rewriting it. If you want to be really environmentally conscious, stop eating meat and take public transportation. But that's a different podcast. Kanban boards are pretty much universal. You can use a Kanban board to track anything through any process. In software project management, Kanban boards are often used to track development of modules. The columns in that case might be labeled module being defined, code being written, testing, and published. As each major software module is underway, it gets moved to the column that reflects where in the process it is. Name each column so that it tells you what should be happening to whatever is in that column. If a column is labeled code written, well, it tells you that the module is written, but not where it is now. But if instead it's labeled code being written, you know that the code being written is in some programmer's cubicle being created by an M&M-fueled uber geek. The steps needn't be sequential. If you're hunting for a schmoopy and you're being systematic about it, of course you have a Kanban board and the columns are labeled schedule first date, send flowers, schedule second date, propose pair bonding, plan commitment ceremony, and not viable. Now in this case, when you meet a new schmoopy candidate, you put their name under the schedule first date column. If things go well, you move them to send flowers, then to schedule second date, and then to propose pair bonding. And if they say yes, we all rejoice and we move them to plan commitment ceremony. If they say no, they get moved to not viable and we are sad. In any case, any proto-schmoopy moves through the sequence in order just like before. But after the propose step, they might go to the plan commitment ceremony step or to the not viable column, depending on what they say. You don't need the columns to be a strict step-by-step sequence. You may often have several different ending columns. Product return requests tracked by Kanban might use columns request received and problem investigated, and from there a request might go into a third column, issue refund, or a fourth column, no refund, let them down gently. Although Kanban boards started as physical boards, they work really well in software. Tools like Plutio and Trello both provide Kanban boards where you can also tag the items on a board, collaborate visually with your team, and do all kinds of fun integrations and so on. Use Kanban boards everywhere. Try out a Kanban board, learn how they work, and you'll find many, many places where they come in handy. To track groups. When you have several teams doing a scavenger hunt or any other kind of project, track their progress using a Kanban board. To track prospects through a sales process, use columns like obtain customer requirements, proposal being written, and proposal out for review. To track freelance clients, if you're working on several client projects at once, your columns might be things like project contract needed, contract out for signature, first draft being created, awaiting customer feedback, and final project delivered. Giving Chris a whiteboard was all it took. Each new plant now goes through its steps in order, so by the time it arrives in the store, there's a clear path from loading dock to display case. And the Audrey 2s are happily munching on seitan-based imitation steak, and everything is under control. Now, if only we knew whose control. I'm Steve Robbins. Follow Get It Done Guy on Twitter and Facebook. And if you have projects that are stalled or taking too long, check out Get It Done Group's accountability groups. Learn more at steverrobbins.com or join my personal mailing list by texting Get It Done to 33444. Work less, do more, and have a great life.